Good morning everyone, it's Monday morning, so it's time for our level 1 mat class. So this is ideal for those of you who are either fairly new to Pilates, need a class that's a little bit more gentle, not quite as challenging as some of the others can be, or if you have an issue or an injury. So today we are going to be working with the block. We're going to be doing some side lying work. So do make sure you've got your block, or if you haven't got a block, grab a cushion and you're going to fold it in half to support your head, so that when we're lying on our side, the head isn't sort of dropped over to one side. Those of you who have difficulty kneeling, maybe grab yourself a sturdy chair and you can do some of these exercises maybe in a standing position instead, just sort of moving the same limbs in the same way. You could even do some of them just with hands against a wall. So I'm asking you this morning to just listen to your bodies, make sure that you're taking responsibility for how you move, because I'm not there with you to help to modify and correct. I've just realised I've not put this on silent. Let me just flick that. There we go. Okay. Right. So, are we ready to start? Have you got a nice, safe, clear working area this morning? Let's bring ourselves into our good standing posture. Hope you've had a good weekend. Weather wasn't too bad, was it? Let's just start by finding a lovely connection through the feet into the floor. So just feeling connected and grounded. Notice where you can feel the feet contacting the floor, and just making sure that you can feel even pressure across the ball of the foot and into the centre of the heels. Spreading the toes out, giving them a little bit of space, a bit of freedom to move. And then finding that we're standing tall, we lift and lengthen, and notice how that switches on the body. It feels a bit more awake, a bit more active, but feeling a slight softness in the knees. We're not bending them, but I want you to just feel that the kneecaps are soft and drawing that pelvis up into neutral. Let's lengthen the spine. Think about the chin being back. So we've got the ears over the shoulders, lengthening up through the back of the neck, taking a breath in and a breath out. So just taking that moment, just checking in. How's everything feeling today? Focusing on that breath. Let's begin with the head. We're just going to take the ear towards one shoulder. Take a breath in. And exhale, move slowly over to the other shoulder. Inhale. Exhale to move. Inhale to hold. You'll notice my chin is staying in the centre and I'm looking to the front. Now let's stay here with this one, and on your next breath out, keep the chin in the middle and roll the head round to the other shoulder. Breath in, tuck that chin in and roll to the other side, so that you're looking forwards again. That chin is in the middle. Roll and stretch. And to the centre, and let's rebalance the head, bringing it back and roll the shoulders. Let's take a breath in, bring the shoulders up. Exhale, roll them back and down. So feel a lovely opening across the front of the shoulders as you do this. And then just a little lift out of the hips and a stretch to the side and pull back up. So those of you with back issues, whenever we're doing side bending or rotation work, make sure that you stay safe and keep those moves at an appropriate level for your body. Let's pull up tall in the centre. Now, let's start to just swing the arms gently. See if you can get one shoulder going behind you. So the shoulder opens and the hand follows without us turning. So it's just a feeling of opening the shoulder. How are those shoulders feeling? Now, if it feels good for you, let's just turn and follow. So osteoporosis, can you let your hips go with you? Otherwise, are you able to do it with the hips staying fixed where they are, so that you can feel the body turn from above the waist? And the taller we stay in this, the better that move is going to feel. Okay, into an arm float and back down. So both arms are coming up, shoulders are retracted and down. I'm going to try and keep it flowing today. So let's start to add in a foot pedal. Let's lift one heel and roll it down. Alternating sides. Think of pressing forwards to get that lovely stretch under the foot and into the toes. Push the heel forwards. Now let's leave the arms here, going to bow and arrow with those foot pedals. Pulling back and centre. Again, we want to stay tall, so think of lifting that elbow behind you rather than pulling it down. So lift the elbow. Feel how you get a different reaction there. Now, osteoporosis, can you stay facing the front? And if you know rotation isn't good for your spine, you're going to stay here as well. Otherwise, can you follow that elbow round? And centre. Let's exhale as we do so. And then can you give me a lovely big arm circle? Let's stretch up and reach round and down. Okay, from there, we're going to go back to the head. Chin back and imagine a little tea plate in front of you. So the top of the plate is just about eyebrow height, so that we're not going to tilt that head back, we're just going to lift the chin slightly. So we're going to trace our nose around the edge of that plate. So we're going to lift slightly, trace round the edge and think of tucking that chin in and lengthening the back of the neck as you go round. So it's like a little retraction, pulling back. Don't worry if there's a bit of clicking and creaking going on, as long as that's not accompanied by pain. Should we go the other way around? So we're going to lift slightly, turn, trace that nose round the edge of the plate. And one more. Now from there we're going to go straight into sways. So I'd like to press into those toes. Can you keep the body tall? Press into the heels. If you feel you'd like to, you feel able to, and you can keep those knees with that slight softness, can you lift the heels? If it feels safe, can you lift the ball of the foot? Don't worry if you step out of it. If you have got balance issues though, stay with your feet firmly planted on the floor and just move through the body. We'll do one more each way. Okay, from there back to our side stretches. If you have shoulder issues or blood pressure issues, take your arm across your chest. Otherwise, we're going to take that arm up, lengthen through the body and stretch over, breath in, and bring it down. Changing sides, long neck. Have you got some wonderful space between your shoulder and your ear? Now, if it's safe and appropriate for you, we're going to add in a little curl forwards. So let's just soften down through the knees and think about just moving the shoulders in a circle, semicircle to the middle, and then just restack. Let's take the arm up and over, soften the knees, and we're just going to roll to the centre just through the upper back and the shoulders, restack. Soften down and roll and restack. Are you feeling some nice opening in that lower back as you do this? Now, into the centre, we're going to stay here. Place the hands onto the knees and take a breath out. Just see if you can tuck that pelvis under a little more and stretch your lower back. Breath in, you're coming forwards into a hinge. Exhale, tucking under. We're going to do one more. Let's tuck under, release the hands, just relax the body down. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, feel that you really lengthen up. Let's stack that spine one piece at a time, all the way up. Standing tall. Let's take an arm circle again. Breath in. And breath out. Okay, we're going to go back to those foot pedals now, but we're going to do a heel strike. And we're going to get it moving a little bit dynamically today. Take it at your pace. So if I'm going a little bit too fast, slow it down. But it is good to be able to move the body quickly as well as slowly, but we want to still try and do it with control. So let's start off with that foot pedal up onto the toe. Can you strike the heel? Pick it back up. Let's roll it down, roll through that foot, changing sides, peel up. Strike the heel. So we're just thinking about how we're moving while we take it slowly, and in a moment we're going to pick up the pace a little bit. So it's not a big step out to the front, you're just striking the heel in front of the other foot. Now if you're ready to, if you feel you'd like to, let's take it a little bit quicker. See if you can still get the same movement of rolling through the foot. And this might be a bit more challenging for some of you who turn your legs out to keep those feet parallel, but just you focus on that. Think about where your heel is going. Let's get this movement being automatic for you. Now we're going to add on, we're going to add a little rock forwards. So I'm going to come back just a touch. We're going to peel up, step, rock forwards, rock back, pick it up. Again, take it slowly if you need to, but can you rock and back and in. Could you maybe make that movement a little bit bigger? And by that I mean when we pick that leg back up, could you add in a knee lift? Can you lift? Roll it down. Peel up. Let's lift that knee. A little bit of dynamic balancing now. That's really good for us. Falls prevention. Yeah, rolling forwards. Pick it up and down. How are we doing? Are we doing okay? Are we getting that heart rate up a little bit maybe? One more. And down. Again, give me a lovely arm circle. And down. Okay. From there, we're going to go into our monkey squats, but we're going to step out to them. So what we've just done, peeling up, we're going to step out, feet parallel, come into your squat, push up. Now can you come straight back to that knee lift without pulling your foot along the floor? Lift it up. Can you step it out again? Now don't worry, if you want to keep that a lot smaller and just take it as a little hover, be nearer the floor, that's absolutely fine. If you can do a full knee lift, full knee lift. So just make sure you're staying safe. Challenge yourself, but keep it safe. Into that squat. And up. We've got one more this side. And stepping it down. Let's come into that squat. Pick up the other leg. Lift up. Remember, keep it low if you need to. Little hover. As long as you've got that moment of just being on one leg. Into that squat. And picking it up. Keeping that tall spine as we squat. Lengthen out, chin nodded. We've got one last one. And up. Wonderful. Let's step that down. Now, we're going to move in some slightly different directions. We're going to start off very small. And then, if you want to, you can challenge yourself by going a little bit bigger. So from that, I'm going to go on a bit of a diagonal, I think, just so that, because we're moving in different directions, just so that you can see. Right, so we're going to start off with a step to the front, but we're going to take it down a little bit. So let's peel up, step to the front. Now just come into a little lunge. Now can you step onto that back foot? Can you pick up that front leg? So sorry, keep it low, keep it low. Step it out to the side, come into your squat. Getting carried away there. Bring it in and hover. Can you step it to the back? And come into your lunge. Have you got all your toes on the floor? Okay. Hover. Forwards. Lunge. Hover. Out to the side. Squat. And hover. And to the back. Heel pointing away, toes down. Okay, now, if you're ready to take it a little bit bigger, let's pop some knee lifts in there. Right, let's lift that knee, otherwise you're just hovering into that lunge. Don't worry too much about the arms. Just kind of keep them flowing. Can you step onto that? Step it out into your squat, into that knee lift, step it back into that lunge. Now if you're wobbling all over the place, stay at this pace. If you think you can you go a little bit quicker? So we go to the front, we go to the side, pull up, we go to the back, we go to the front, we go to the side, we go to the back. We're going to go one more time through. If you're taking it nice and slowly, carry on. So you've got your lunge to the front, a squat to the side, and a lunge to the back, and up. So we should all be in this nice split stance now. So from there, what I'd like you to do is just take the arms into Cossack, widen the collarbones, and we're going to roll back. Push your heel down, roll up. Now, are your hips still square to the front, or are you taking that hip with you? Maybe you're turning your leg in and you can feel you're just on your big toe. So push down into the middle of the heel, come up onto all the toes. Now let's keep that heel down. If your balance isn't great, take your hand onto a wall or sturdy piece of furniture. And let's just take a little lunge forwards, try and keep your heel down. Just to give that calf a bit more of a stretch. Last one. Now, let's keep the front leg straight. Again, hand on the wall or furniture if you need to. Can you bend that back leg and stretch the front leg? Soften down. Press it back. Now if your balance is great and your hamstrings are stretchy, take your chest nearer to your leg. If that's not possible, just stay fairly upright. Use support as you need to. One more. Now let's lift that back heel again as we come up, and whichever leg is back, take that hand, flex the hand, and you're just going to push up, take a stretch, push that heel down, and step in. Okay, let's do all those on the other side. So, turn my mat. Right, we started off moving nice and slowly through that balance movement, didn't we? So we peeled up, stepped it to the front, and came down into a little lunge. Now just step it in and hover, because remember you might not be the same on this side. Let's step it out, come into our squat. Knees over toes. Come in and hover if you can. Can you do it without putting that toe down? Step it to the back. All the toes down into your lunge. Little hover. Step it forwards into your lunge. So it's forwards, side, back, forwards, side, back. So if you're going to carry on at this pace and at this level, forwards into your lunge. If you can, are you adding in that knee lift? You're going to the side into your squat, knees over toes. Into your knee lift or hover. Step it back. Into your lunge. Stay with that if you need to. If you can pick up that pace, let's pick it up. Making it a little bit more dynamic. We're rolling through those feet, roll it back. That's the hardest one to pick up, I think. And up to the back. So if you're taking it nice and slowly, front, then side, then back. Last time through, lunge, picking it up, squat, and then lunge to the back. Now remember, we're staying here. Bit of support if you need it. Just pushing that heel down and coming back up. I'm going to move forwards. Hips stay square. Push that heel away. Feel that you come up onto all the toes. Press it back. Arms in Cossack if you can. Now one more. Let's leave the heel there. Can you take it forwards? Now, let's take hands onto that front leg, one on the wall or furniture if you need it. Can you straighten that front leg, bend the back leg, soften down, press back. Again, listen to your bodies. If you can get closer to that front leg, take the chest down, give it a good stretch. One more. And then stepping up, let's push that heel down one last time, flex the hand, stretch up, and bring it in. Very well done. Right, now then, we're going to come down onto the mats. So, do have your block nice and handy. If you can you come down using a lunge and lowering yourself that way? If not, just come down however's safe for you. But if you can you step one leg forwards, come down into that lunge, lower the knee, untuck the toes. Right, oh, that was a good knee crack. Right, from there, we're going to stay on the knees. So if you need to do this in seated, in a chair, we're going to be working upper body now a little bit. We're going to go back to our sways, but we're only going to sway back. Now, if you have a diastasis, a hernia or a prolapse, I want you to keep this really, really small. Maybe even just stay upright and focus on drawing your muscles in. Okay? Similarly, osteoporosis, this might not be great for you. So if you can you rest on the tops of your feet? Just check your toes are the same width as your knees. We're going to lift out of the hips, lengthen. You might feel your glutes tighten a little bit, chin back. And as we exhale, we're just going to lean away just a touch and inhale up. So, those groups I mentioned, you might want to just take your hands here and take a strong breath out. Lift the pelvic floor and feel that you're trying to pull your body away from your hands. Big breath in. Otherwise, we're going into that thigh rock back. So you're going to reach out of the knees and come back up. are you keeping that lovely connection, rib to hips at the front, or are you letting it go and bending backwards? See if you can keep that connection, hang on to it. Let's do one more. And up, can you give me another big arm circle? Just stretch it round. Okay. From there, we're going to turn the palms behind us, open the shoulders. And I'd like to keep that feeling of reaching the crown of the head for the ceiling. So not the forehead, think crown of the head, the very top. Reach it for the ceiling as we push the arms down. So reach the crown of the head for the ceiling and push the arms down. Notice where you feel that in your body. Now, can you add in a little shoulder squeeze for me? So as we push down, you're then going to squeeze back and release. So we're lengthening the body, but we're pushing the arms down. They're working in opposite directions. It's like you're trying to get your ears and your fingertips as far away from each other as you can. Have you still got that lovely connection, ribs to hips? Do you feel like you've still got your chin back? Let's do one more. Push and squeeze. And back. Now, we're going to go back to an exercise that we did a week or so ago, which is really, really good for your core and for your shoulders. So we're going to take one arm, doesn't matter which one, and you're going to bring it across your body. Think, push the back of your hand forwards. Now draw a little loop, come back to your hip. Lead with your little finger, draw a little loop behind you. So we always go back to the hip, round the front to the hip, round the back to the hip. And we're pulling up tall. Now keep it at this pace if you need to. If you can go a bit faster, let's just pick it up a little bit. Swishing around. See if you can keep your body still while you do it. Challenge yourself. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Let's do that on the other side. We'll take it nice and slowly. Bring it across. Come back to the hip. Squeeze it behind. Back to the hip. So we're just drawing a loop and a loop. So I like to think of it as an infinity symbol. So your fingertips are pointing down as though you're tracing that on a piece of paper that's at the side of you. So just watch for drawing it up in the air. We want to keep it down. Fingertips pointing at the mat. You're drawing that shape. Can you take it a little bit quicker and still keep that sense of control and stillness in the rest of the body? And 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Now we're just going to take the arms out a little way. Just bring them forwards. Let the spine round. Let yourself sit back a little. Breath in. And then we're going to open out. Just take the arms behind you a little. So we're going to Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. One more. Now, here's the challenge. Can you put both arms together? Right, let's think about how still we need to stay. And we'll start off slow. Think back of the hands together, little fingers together. They might not quite touch, mine don't. And round. Always just brush past the hips, brush past the hips. Now take it at this pace if you need to, but if you can you go a little bit quicker? Just challenge your core. Are you still really upright and still? And 4, and 3, and 2, and 1, and well done. Just give those shoulders a little roll. Now, this is where you might still want a little bit of support. However, if you are sway back posture, so if in class you know you have your hips forwards and your shoulders back, and I'm always asking you to just bring them back, shoulders over hips, then I want you to just move this very gently. Try not to push it into a stretch. For the rest of us, we're going to do a hip flexor stretch. Hand onto the wall or furniture for a bit of support if you need to, because you're going to step one leg forwards. Now, if you're unable to come down into kneeling, I'll show you your version in a moment. So pulling up tall, shoulders back, we're just going to press forwards to open the hip and bring it back. So think of pushing the inside of the hip forwards rather than the top of the hips and getting a back bend. Okay, if you're not able to come into kneeling, you can do this in standing and just take it into a lunge. Think of stretching the inside of that hip. You're just going to rock forwards and rock back. Okay, so just doing a couple more. And then let's change sides. So again, bit of support if you need it. Changing sides, pulling up tall. And you'll notice in your body, if you haven't quite got this right, you'll notice that you're not feeling a stretch in your hip and you'll just be feeling it all in your back. So think about keeping that squareness, hips and ribs connected at the front. Let's do one more. Okay, now bringing that leg in. If you're in seated, you're going to bring your feet behind you and tuck your toes to do this one. Arthritis, bone spurs, bunions, just take it to where it feels okay. But if you can, I'd like you to tuck your toes underneath, rest onto your toes. So we're going to come down into 4-point position, but step the hands a little further forwards than we'd normally have them. And what I'd like you to do is just push back. Now you can put as much pressure into those toes as is okay for your feet. I really love this stretch, so I'm putting quite a bit of pressure down. I'm really sitting into my heels. And then forwards. Pressing back. Forward. So you could even do this, you carry on if you're down in 4-point position, you could even do this in standing and just press and come up. So that's your alternative. So if you're in standing doing one foot, could you change feet for me? Pressing back and coming forwards. And if you're down here, you might be getting a nice wrist and finger stretch as well as you push forwards. One more. And then let's untuck those toes. Now, we're going to come into shell stretch and do a little bit of shoulder work. You can do this stood against the wall. Now, shoulder issues, you might prefer to keep your arms in a W. If it's available to you, could you take your arms straight? So it might be best if you watch this one and then join in. So I'm coming into my shell stretch, arms in a V. Now, I'm pulling one shoulder back, and then I'm going to try and lift that arm without lifting my ribs off my leg. And down. So we draw the shoulder back and just lift the arm. So I'm staying square to the mat. Okay, so I can feel it all here. Now, if you're doing this against the wall, arms can be in that W shape, and you're going to pull the arm away from the wall but without turning. So you don't want to go with it. Just pull that shoulder down, lift off the wall. Okay, so those are your different versions. We're going to do a couple more of those. Just feel that lovely work into the shoulders. And then when you're ready to, when you've worked both sides evenly, let's take a breath out and curl up. Okay, let's grab that block and we're going to come into side lying now. So you block or your cushion, double it over so your head's really well supported. Right, popping my block down. This is where the sun is just coming over the buildings and I'm going to get it right in my eyes any moment now. Okay, so I've got my face at the front edge of the block and I'm just checking with the edge of my mat that I'm in a straight line. Shoulders are underneath me and I'm trying to have my neck relaxed, so I'm resting on my ear. Now, can you feel everything switch on? I tell you what, actually, just relax. Relax and feel how switched off everything is. Now, if you start to stretch those legs out, stretch the feet out, activate the core, can you feel everything just switch on now? Right, we're going to go into side leg one. So let's stretch that foot and think of lifting your ankle towards the ceiling, not very high. Let's flex that foot and bring it back down. Stretch and lift, flex and down. So if you turn your leg out, I want you to be really aware of where you're feeling this, because this is incredibly beneficial for you if you're doing it properly. So I would like you to make sure you're feeling it down here, you're lifting from here. If that leg's turned out, you'll feel it round the back. Now similarly, if you're feeling it in the front of your thigh, your leg's wandering forwards, just push it back a bit till you feel it switch on somewhere else. Is that bottom leg still active, or have you let it just relax? Push it straight. Let's do one more. Now, we're going to put in what's called a développé. Now, can you do this without the rest of your body moving? So we're going to take a tiny lift, not too high. Let's bend that knee, pull it forwards as though you're pulling your foot up the inside of the leg. Now, push that leg forwards. Flex the foot, bring it back down. Now, you can close down if you need to rest in between, but if you can keep it hovering, keep it hovering. Bring it in, knee pointing forwards. Push think about pushing through from the back of the hip if you can. And it almost helps you to push that hip back and really feel it all the way up that leg if you do that. So if you think of just pushing that leg forward, you might well roll and only feel it sort of down here. But if you think of pushing through from the back of the hip, it really helps to switch everything on. Push through and down. Now if you've had a hip replacement, you're going to carry on with this and maybe do 1 or 2 more. If it's safe and appropriate for you to bring that leg across the body, then that's what we're going to do. Think about pulling that top hip back and push your heel down towards the floor. Well, actually inside of your ankle. Bring it in now. Just relax that knee down onto the mat for a moment. Let it have a little stretch out. And then on your next breath out, could you use your hands, so we'll bring those knees in, use your hands and just push up. Now we're coming into propped position. Okay, if your shoulders don't like this, then you can do this lying down. So we are going to start off with mermaid. If propped isn't available to you, side leg 2. Okay, so that's where you lift and then exhale, lift, squeeze both legs together. However, osteoporosis, that isn't great for you. So your alternative is your side leg 1, or you can stay here and no lifting. So I've just dropped my top foot in front and I'm making sure that this hip is forward. So I'm thinking of pressing into my knees a bit more and I'm pushing away from the floor. So I do find people with shoulder issues tend to sink into the shoulder and that shoulder joint is taking all the pressure. If you push away from the floor, your back is going to help, okay? And then it won't feel quite so tough on the shoulders. Let's lift that arm. Now, can you keep your hips still and lift your ribs away from the floor? And down. And again, we're going to build this up. So we're going to take it to where it feels good and appropriate for you. So if you're staying over that elbow, well done. If you feel like you're travelling away from the elbow, you're probably pushing your hips away. So try and stay over that elbow. Now, if it's safe and appropriate for you to lift, let's take a strong breath out and see if we can lift the hips as well. Coming over and control it back down. So we lift the ribs, we lift the hips, and I'm pushing over that arm and down. We're going to do 2 more. If your neck isn't enjoying this, turn the chin, look down to your forearm. That might feel nicer. Let's do one last one. Ribs, hips, and down. Wonderful. Now we're just going to push up and just take a little stretch. So reach across, reach slightly forwards, and recover. Okay, we're going to take that over to the other side now. So safely down into that straight line, shoulders underneath, checking I've got that line, and that includes my head. So I'm making sure my head isn't forwards of the rest of my body. Let's use those muscles in the neck. Lengthen out, switch everything on, and let's go into our side leg 1. We're going to stretch that foot. Now think, push the ankle bone up to the ceiling, flex and down. So again, if you turn your legs out, try not to let that rotation happen and your toes lead the way. Stretch and lift, flex and lower. Can you really work that foot for me? It should be nice and warm with all the work we did before. Nice and flexible. And we reach that leg away as we lift. Think of reaching for something with your toes. Let's do one more. Now, we're going to go into that développé. So, let's lift and hover. And we're going to bend that knee forwards. Push through from the back of your hips. I think almost push the hip back, push the heel forwards. Bring that leg back down. This is why we warmed your hamstrings up at the beginning. So see if you can steady yourself. Use that core and just isolate the leg. Now, hip replacements, keep that going, or come back to your side leg one. If it's appropriate, can you squeeze down towards the floor? Keep that hip back and pushing the heel forwards. And then let's bend it in and drop that knee onto the mat for a nice stretch. Just give it a moment. And then let's bend both knees in and see if we can push ourselves up on a breath out. Exhale, pushing up and bringing that elbow right underneath your shoulder. So if you did a different version on the other side, please do that version on this side as well. So I'm just making sure I feel like I'm pressing more towards my knees and dropping that top foot in front. Pushing away from the floor. Let's take the arm up, just the ribs. Stay over that elbow and back down. Lift and lift. So osteoporosis, you're going to stay here. If you'd like to add in that lift, let's lift those hips and reach over. And again, feel free to turn that head as you need to. So if you need to look down, ribs and hips. And one last one. And down. And again, just let those feet slide apart, push up, and let's just see, support ourselves coming into a bit of a side stretch and then a little bit of a forward stretch. And recover. Wonderful. Okay, just roll the shoulders, turn the head. Okay, from there we're going to come into seated. We're going to make sure we're up on those sitting bones, sitting tall, hands resting on the knees. If you want a bit more support, hold firmly underneath and let's open those shoulders. Now I want you to think about moving from the pelvis Osteoporosis, you're going to take this very gently. Let's take a big breath in. Now, strong breath out. Can you start by lifting your pelvic floor and then curl, pull the tummy in and just feel that you roll over the hips and back up. So we're rocking over those sitting bones. Notice where you're moving from. Is it from the hips or is it from your shoulders? What's moving? If you feel like you can you do this without holding on? If it's safe and appropriate, so spinal issues, I would stay holding on. We're going to do one more. And up now. If you feel you can you lift and take an arm circle here? And down. Now, we're just going to take the arms slightly back, open the chest, and take the feet a little bit wider. So a bit wider than your hips. Feel that you stay planted on your sitting bones. Hip replacement, if it's less than 6 months, I'd like you to just roll onto the outside of the foot. So you're just going to stay here rolling out. Otherwise, can you roll in? Drop one knee inwards and think about pushing that knee away just a little bit, especially if you grip your hips. And then rolling the other leg in. Feel how that stretches outside of the hip. Let's roll in. Staying really tall, shoulders open. And in. Okay, let's just take a little stretch over the legs. Breathe into the back. And unfill. Now we need to come up nice and safely. So I am going to use a squat. If you feel that that's not available to you today, please do it another way that's safe. So again, we're going to tuck those toes under. Think about what position you're in a squat. We want to power through the legs. So let's get the feet down. Let's lift the chest and then push through the legs to come all the way back up. Okay, back to our good standing posture. We're just going to go back to those foot pedals with the arm swing. Do one more each side. Let's take both arms forwards. Reach for something in front of you. Feel that stretch across the back of the shoulders. Now just pull them back. And we're going to open the arms out wide. Open out. Feel that stretch. Ribs are down. And down, so it's like a little half circle forwards. Open out, reach through the fingertips and gently open the front of the shoulders and down. And again. One more. And down. Now full arm circle with soft knees and a big breath in, take a well-deserved stretch up and exhale. And thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you're feeling full of energy and little bit looser and freer now to enjoy the rest of your day. So take care, and I'll see you again sometime soon. Tomorrow is level 2 at 9 a.m.